overcome with emotion. And I actually had to walk out of the room. So it was just too much for me to handle.
So do you blame Dr. Murray for your brother's death?
Yes, I do. He is the one that was administering the drug, as from what I do know. So.
One person I believe in Hollywood who people conspired to actually take down because he had too much power, and I believe that person was Michael Jackson. The reason I believe that is because you can look into the story. Paul McCartney and Michael used to be real cool. Paul was telling Michael, like, yo, you got to get your business together. You got to get your business right. Michael ended up getting so big that he bought the Beatles publishing. The Beatles publishing was worth so much that literally Sony gave Michael Jackson half of their publishing company just to own the Beatles catalog. Imagine how powerful a black man is when he owns our majority of the music industry's publishing. In some cases, was even giving publishing back to some of the artists. He gave Little Richard his publishing back. I don't know how many people he did that to, but he gave Little Richard his publishing back. I believe that Michael Jackson had too much power in the music industry, had too much control over the most valuable asset in music, which is people's publishing, and I believe they had to take him out because of it.
It appears that Janet Jackson, known worldwide as Miss Jackson if you're nasty, has reignited the entertainment industry with a revelation that no one anticipated. She's directly calling out JayZ, claiming he wasn't simply competing with her legendary brother Michael Jackson, but was allegedly plotting against him behind the scenes. According to Janet, this wasn't just a friendly rivalry. It was a strategic takedown. She suggests JayZ may have moved pieces quietly in the industry to block Michael's influence and isolate him during the most powerful years of his career. Now, this claim has sent shockwaves across social media, with fans arguing that it could finally explain the strange business maneuvers, secret meetings, and sudden power shifts that surrounded Michael in his later years. Janet's words have sparked what many are calling an industry earthquake, one that could potentially mark the downfall of JayZ's untouchable reign in Hollywood. Janet's timing makes this even more explosive. She's not just revisiting her brother's legacy, she's challenging the official narrative about his death. According to her, the chain of events leading to Michael's passing was filled with inconsistencies, suspicious decisions, and unseen hands shaping the outcome. She insists the media wasn't the only enemy her brother faced. Powerful figures within the music elite were allegedly pulling strings against him. And at the center of it all, she hints at JayZ and his longtime associate, Diddy. These are two names that dominated the business during the 2000s, controlling artists, deals, and cultural influence. But according to Janet, their power might have come at a heavy cost. Let's rewind to June 25th, 2009. The day Michael Jackson tragically passed away after overdosing on the powerful anesthetic propofol, illegally administered by his personal doctor, Conrad Murray. That's where the story starts to turn dark and suspicious. When Michael Jackson collapsed, the timeline of events became immediately suspicious. Reports claim that instead of dialing 911 right away, Dr. Conrad Murray first called a man named Vahe Muhammad. But here's where things take a darker turn. Vahe wasn't a doctor, a nurse, or anyone from the medical field. He was Diddy's personal bodyguard, a man allegedly known in industry circles as the go-to fixer when something needed to disappear quietly. That single phone call, made before any ambulance was summoned, has fueled growing suspicion about what really happened in Michael's final moments. Why reach out to a celebrity bodyguard before emergency responders? Fans and insiders alike have questioned what that call was meant to cover up.
You know, we always hear the conspiracy theories, like, you know, they be like, oh, Bill Cosby was trying to buy NBC. Michael's the only person I believe they really tried to railroad like that because of what he did with the publishing in the music industry.
He talked about it all the time. He talked about it all the time. One thing I will say is that in the studio, he would always talk about how he lived in a certain fear. And I used to always try to reel him in a direction like, yo, you only supposed to fear God. Man shouldn't have you feeling like that. No man should have you living in that space. But he lived in that space a lot because he felt like he had something that was so valuable, which he did. He had something so valuable that people wanted.
He owned like half of Sony ATV's publishing, right?
Yeah, I think what people have confused, I'm glad you said that way, because I think people have confused the narrative. People for so long have said, Michael owned the Beatles catalog.
I heard that.
No, Michael owned Sony ATV.
That's right.
Which is Babyface, Mariah, the Beatles.
Beyonce.
Probably some of my catalog was in there.
And who else might have been on the other end of the line? Janet's claims suggest a motive rooted deeply in money and control. At the time of his death, Michael wasn't just the king of pop. He was the most powerful artist in the entertainment world, owning pieces of the industry itself. Few could compete with his reach, not even the rising moguls of hip-hop. Janet implies that JayZ and Diddy saw Michael not as an icon, but as an obstacle. Michael had become a rare kind of artist, one who didn't just perform music, but owned it. Through his purchase of the Sony ATV publishing catalog, valued at over $250 million, he held rights to some of the most valuable songs in history, including a massive portion of the Beatles' catalog. That ownership gave him more than money. It gave him power, influence, and leverage over record labels, artists, and executives who built their empires off others' work. Producer Rodney Jerkins, also known as Darkchild, once revealed that Michael privately confessed he lived in constant fear because of that ownership. He told him that people in high places didn't like the idea of an artist, especially a black artist, holding that kind of control. According to Janet, that fear may not have been paranoia. It might have been prophecy. He understood that everyone in Michael's orbit wanted a piece of what he owned, and that constant tension wasn't paranoia, it was survival. According to Janet, Michael's massive publishing catalog wasn't just a business asset, it was the reason he became a marked man. It made him a financial threat to powerful industry players who didn't want an artist holding that level of control. When Rodney Darkchild Jerkins was later asked whether the controversies and allegations surrounding Michael were connected to his industry power, he didn't shy away from the question. He suggested that the timing and intensity of the accusations were no coincidence, that they were strategically orchestrated to dismantle his influence and tarnish his credibility. According to Jerkins, what the public saw as scandal may have actually been a coordinated campaign to destroy Michael's image and force him to relinquish his empire. Darkchild described the accusations as too convenient and too calculated, noting that they always seemed to surface right when Michael gained more control over his music catalog or launched new projects. He stated firmly that he never believed any of the claims because he spent time with Michael daily, in the studio, at rehearsals, and in private settings. He saw how Michael lived, the people he trusted, and how protective he was of children and his inner circle. From Jerkins' perspective, those allegations looked less like truth and more like a weapon, a deliberate tactic to strip Michael of his legacy, isolate him from allies, and paint him as an untouchable figure. Over the years, Darkchild has continued defending Michael, insisting his reputation was systematically destroyed by those who feared his independence. He wasn't just speaking out of loyalty, he was echoing what many close to Michael had quietly said for decades.
You think they threw all those cases at Michael because they wanted it back?
I think it could have had something to do with it. I'm not going to say exactly that, but it could have had something to do with it. But I believe none of it because I was around Mike all the time and I knew the kind of person he was. So I'm like, they really trying to kill his character.
Yeah, I don't believe
And
it.
he would say it, like, he'd be like, they just can't stand that I'm the greatest. He would literally say that.
The king of pop didn't fall from grace by accident. He was pushed. He knew he was standing alone in a world built to isolate him. But this is where things took an even stranger turn. Around that same period, Rodney Darkchild Jerkins recalled that Michael was fighting to stay positive, planning new performances, scheduling summer jam shows, and surrounding himself with creativity to keep his energy alive. Yet, according to insiders, everything changed after Michael crossed paths with JayZ for a 2001 Summer Jam performance. That show wasn't just another industry event. It allegedly marked the moment JayZ began embedding himself deeper into Michael's professional circle. Some insiders even claim Jay's ties to Michael went back much further, possibly to the early 1990s. Whispers suggest he began working his way into the Jackson family network as early as 1993, possibly through LaToya Jackson's ex-husband, Jack Gordon, a man long accused of manipulating LaToya for personal gain. From that point forward, those close to Michael say his inner circle started shifting, filling with new faces, hidden agendas, and unfamiliar energy. Then, almost out of nowhere, LaToya Jackson made a shocking public statement claiming that Michael had written checks to families of young boys between the ages of 9 and 13. The world was stunned and the media erupted. But years later, LaToya retracted the claim, saying she had been pressured and coerced by her ex-husband Jack Gordon, who allegedly controlled and manipulated every word she said. Insiders now insist this wasn't simply family drama or a personal misunderstanding. Allegedly, the entire situation was carefully engineered behind the scenes, with powerful industry figures like JayZ and Diddy quietly pulling strings. With their reach, influence, and resources, they had the ability to turn Michael's reputation into a weapon and use it against him. And the timing wasn't coincidental, it was surgical. The very moment Michael's influence began threatening established industry hierarchies, the narrative against him intensified. Even Jaguar Wright, a former insider, echoed this idea, saying that Diddy might have been ruthless, but JayZ was allegedly far more dangerous, moving quietly and strategically while others took the public blame. It might not just be rumors anymore. One detail that keeps standing out is how the two biggest solo artists in the world, Prince and Michael Jackson, both faced relentless allegations, while JayZ and Diddy seemed to move untouched through scandal after scandal. Despite operating in the same elite circles, both Jay and Diddy were praised as business moguls and mentors, painted as leaders trying to empower other Black artists. Yet behind the polished public image, insiders say there was something far more calculated at play. As Jaguar Wright once warned, Diddy was bad, but JayZ was worse. And when you look closely, her words start to sound less like gossip and more like a chilling prediction. The pattern becomes hard to ignore. The brightest stars in the music industry seem to fall one by one, while those pulling strings behind the scenes climbed higher without consequence. According to whispers from former insiders, it was all part of a system, a quiet but deliberate effort to remove the biggest threats to the industry's power structure. The narrative was simple: destroy the icons who couldn't be controlled while glorifying those who would play by the rules. When Michael Jackson began calling out the industry publicly, that system became even more visible. He went straight after Tommy Mottola, then the CEO of Sony Music, accusing him of racism and exploiting Black artists for profit. Michael claimed Mottola was actively orchestrating conspiracies to control artists' catalogs and silence those who spoke out. He even warned that certain executives didn't care who got destroyed as long as they kept their profits safe. And if that sounds familiar, it should. It mirrors how JayZ allegedly built his empire, promoting collaboration and brotherhood in public, while quietly freezing out artists who tried to challenge his influence. Similarly, Diddy's alleged manipulation of artists like Biggie and Mace now feels like part of the same script, a cycle of betrayal and exploitation buried beneath glossy success. Shortly after Michael's explosive statements, reports surfaced that Sony was furious with him for demanding independence from the label. The tension ran deeper than music. Michael owned 50% of Sony's publishing catalog, a power move that gave him authority over a massive slice of the industry's wealth. And that, insiders believe, made him too powerful to keep alive, at least not without consequences. They wanted Michael to bend to their rules and submit to the system that controlled every major artist's destiny. When he refused to stay silent about their intimidation tactics, the power players behind the curtain allegedly turned against him. According to multiple insiders, this is the moment JayZ and Diddy began tightening their grip on the situation, maneuvering quietly behind the scenes to isolate Michael and control the narrative surrounding his career. Michael's declaration, "I'm leaving Sony, I'm a free agent," wasn't just a contract dispute, it was a declaration of war. That single statement threatened the foundation of an industry that relied on control, and those in power weren't about to let one man walk away with both influence and ownership intact. Now here's where things take a chilling turn. Whispers claim that JayZ allegedly played a role in this conspiracy, and that his cooperation came with a price. According to sources, he was promised access, connections, and financial power within the industry in exchange for helping contain Michael's growing rebellion. Whether those deals were ever written or spoken aloud, the timing is suspicious. Jay's rise accelerated just as Michael's downfall intensified. And remember Jack Gordon, LaToya Jackson's ex-husband?
Well, no, the last time I saw Mike was maybe a month before.
Mm-hmm.
I was giving my parents a surprise party.
And
So
he
we were
came for
all
that.
there. We were all there.
The last time you saw Michael was around your birthday.
2 days before
Yeah.
my birthday. I was at my house in New York. You know, another day, another morning. And I get a call. Headed to the hospital.
And you headed to the airport?
Not at that very moment. I didn't know the severity of it. No one knew. I can't remember exactly who I wound up calling back to see how things were going, and that's when they told me he had passed.
He had passed.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is where his role turns dark. Reports claim that Gordon forced a marriage with LaToya to gain direct access to the Jackson family and ultimately Michael himself. According to Janet, her sister was manipulated and psychologically broken down by Gordon, who allegedly convinced her that her own family was plotting to kidnap her. The manipulation didn't stop there. Gordon reportedly arranged a press conference where LaToya, under his direction, publicly accused Michael of horrific crimes and claimed to have proof of his alleged misconduct. Even worse, she was allegedly instructed to demand $500,000 from the highest bidder in exchange for that evidence. The entire situation paints a picture of exploitation at every level, one sister weaponized against another, and an empire of manipulation built on money and fear.
Working with emotion, and I actually had to walk out of the room. So it was just too much for me to handle.
So, do you blame Dr. Murray for your brother's death?
Yes, I do. He is the one that was administering the drug, as from what I do know.
Insiders now believe that this wasn't just about greed. It was a coordinated attempt to destroy Michael's reputation, cripple his influence, and reclaim control of the assets he refused to surrender. And if these whispers are true, it all connects back to a powerful network that allegedly included some of the biggest names in the business: JayZ, Diddy, and the very executives Michael tried to expose. Eventually, the truth surfaced. LaToya Jackson never had any real evidence against her brother. Everything she said had been forced under the control of Jack Gordon, the man who manipulated, isolated, and abused her for years. When she finally broke free, LaToya revealed the horrifying details of her marriage: the beatings, the control, and the fear that kept her silent. She admitted Gordon hit her with household objects, cut her off from her family, and dictated her every move until she escaped.
Believe it may have been murder. Do you still think that?
Absolutely.
Why?
Absolutely.
Why are you so sure?
I would never, ever think differently. Because first of all, Michael told me that they were going to murder him. He was afraid. He was afraid for his life. Who was going to murder him? The people that were involved in his life, the people that were controlling him. This book, Starting Over, is about my life. And it's about Michael's life. It's the parallel between the two of our lives. We share that same life where people come into your life, wiggle their way in, control you, manipulate, control your funds, your finances, everything that you have, and you must do what they tell you to do. And that's what Michael was going through. And he knew that everything that was happening to him was not kosher, it wasn't right, and it disturbed him greatly. And he kept saying it over and over and over again. Yes, Dr. Murray was the fall guy, but it's more to it than just that. He named names. He told me people. He told me to be careful of this one and that one. And in the beginning, I didn't, it's not that I didn't believe him.
Who were the people that he was saying?
People that surrounded themselves around him. People that worked with him. People that were with him the last days.
Any specific names?
Michael wasn't capable of doing these shows that he was supposed to do. Michael only agreed to do 10, and it's because they had him on such a tight rope.
Those false accusations weren't just family drama gone wrong. According to insiders, they were part of an elaborate and sinister plan designed to destroy Michael Jackson's reputation and seize control of his assets. The plot, they say, was orchestrated by some of the industry's most powerful figures, JayZ and his close ally Diddy among them. And now, years later, as Diddy's empire crumbles under the weight of criminal allegations and federal investigations, these old stories are resurfacing in new and haunting ways. The deeper authorities dig, the more it appears that this web of corruption wasn't random. It was a carefully constructed machine built on manipulation, fear, and control. Every new headline and leaked document brings another piece of the puzzle into view, and fans are beginning to connect the dots. What once sounded like wild conspiracy now feels like an uncomfortable truth hiding in plain sight. The same tactics allegedly used to silence Cassie and other accusers echo eerily through the past, linking back to what many believe was a long-standing campaign to dismantle Michael Jackson's legacy. And then there's Fahim Muhammad, the same man Dr. Conrad Murray allegedly called when Michael's pulse began to fade. That single phone call remains one of the most suspicious moments in the case. Reports now suggest that Fahim might have been far more than just a bodyguard. During a period when Diddy appeared untouchable, Fahim's role was rumored to involve more than protection. He may have been a fixer, someone who quietly cleaned up messes before they reached the public. This shadowy pattern mirrors what former bad boy bodyguard Gene Deal would later describe: an inner circle of enforcers who handled the secrets no one else was supposed to know. If even part of these claims hold true, it means the story of Michael Jackson's fall was never just about scandal or drugs. It may have been the final act in a long, coordinated takedown, one that reached far higher than anyone ever imagined. Allegedly, in the lawsuit filed by Lil Rod against Diddy, multiple claims point to Fahim Muhammad's crucial role in protecting Diddy from facing legal consequences.
In 2003, a Florida supermarket closed so that Michael Jackson could fulfill his dream of going grocery shopping like everybody else, like a normal person. The other people in the store were friends, family of his, who pretended to be shoppers. He did this because he wanted to experience what it felt like by putting things in a basket, and what the real world is like. In this photo, you can see Michael Jackson appeared to be having the time of his life as he browsed the aisle.
To see, in my way, kind of what the real world is like, even though it wasn't the real thing.
The details paint a disturbing picture of a carefully connected network, one that shielded the most powerful names in entertainment while quietly silencing or eliminating anyone who threatened their control. But there's one detail that changes everything. Fahim had only been hired as Michael Jackson's head of security about 10 months before his death, and before that, there was little to no record of him being part of Michael's trusted circle. The timing alone raises suspicions. It's as if he was strategically placed inside Michael's world, positioned close enough to monitor every move, without the star even realizing it. According to Janet Jackson, this might explain one of the most painful truths about that final chapter. She revealed that she didn't spend much time with her brother in the weeks before his passing, not because she chose distance, but because she wasn't allowed to. Michael's inner circle had allegedly become tightly controlled, limiting access to only a handful of people. From the outside, Michael seemed consumed with rehearsals for This Is It, his massive comeback tour. But insiders claim those around him were carefully selected and family members were being quietly pushed aside. When he died in 2009, none of his relatives were nearby. Only two figures were present in those final hours: Dr. Conrad Murray and Fahim Muhammad. When you connect those dots, it begins to look less like coincidence and more like a calculated design, a setup where every gatekeeper around Michael was working to keep family, friends, and even trusted associates at a distance. The alleged goal? To isolate him completely at the height of his vulnerability. And it's hard to overlook the fact that one of the last people to see Michael alive was also tied to Diddy and JayZ's alleged criminal web. The same network accused of silencing, manipulating, and erasing those who knew too much. According to Janet, the last time she saw Michael was 2 days before her birthday, just a month before his death. When news broke that he had been rushed to the hospital, she was at home, helpless, heartbroken, and completely shut out. By the time she arrived, it was already too late. Her brother, the man the world called the King of Pop, was gone, surrounded not by family but by strangers whose loyalty remains in question to this day. LaToya Jackson has made it clear that she believes her brother was silenced, and she's not the only one. Michael's daughter, Paris Jackson, shares that belief. In her book, LaToya revealed a haunting memory that Paris once confided. She said that the last time she saw her father, he was crying constantly, saying he was freezing, and kept asking for fire to warm himself. That heartbreaking image has haunted fans and family alike ever since. Even more disturbing, Paris allegedly said that the family was kept completely in the dark during Michael's final days. Phones were cut off, contact was restricted, and communication to the outside world was blocked. According to those close to the Jacksons, the people behind those restrictions were none other than Dr. Conrad Murray and Fahim Muhammad, the two men who were closest to Michael when everything fell apart. In more recent interviews, Paris has expressed her deepest hope that one day she'll get the full truth about the people who took her father from her too soon. Her words echo the same suspicions her Aunt LaToya and her mother Janet have voiced for years, that Michael's passing was not an accident, but a calculated setup orchestrated by those who had something to gain from his downfall. When you look at every piece of evidence, the isolation, the cut communication, the conflicting stories, and the money trails, it's hard to call it coincidence. Something went terribly wrong, and while Conrad Murray took the public blame, many believe he was just the fall guy in a much bigger game. Now, with Janet Jackson pulling back the curtain, we're seeing one of the biggest alleged conspiracies in music history unfold. A web of industry power players, JayZ, Diddy, and media executives, all allegedly moving behind the scenes to control, isolate, and ultimately silence Michael Jackson. Whether you believe it or not, the pattern is chilling, and the timing of every event lines up too perfectly to ignore. Michael Jackson may be gone, but the questions surrounding his death refuse to fade. And with Janet, LaToya, and Paris now speaking out more boldly than ever, it might only be a matter of time before the full story finally comes to light. So what do you think? Was Michael Jackson truly set up, or is this just speculation running wild? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, hit that like button, and make sure you're subscribed. Because the next wave of revelations could shatter everything we thought we knew about the King of Pop's final days. The King of Pop deserves answers, and the world deserves the truth.